The huge metal doors of the Galactic Council chamber opened with a low hum. Ambassador Jake Morrison walked through them, his black diplomatic uniform crisp and clean. Behind him followed 3 other humans, their faces calm, but their eyes showing. The anger they felt inside Jake had been Earth's voice in this place for 3 long years. 3 years of listening to alien species tell humans what they could and could not do. 3 years of watching his people get pushed around by creatures who thought they were better than humans. The council chamber was massive. It could hold thousands of beings from dozens of different worlds. The walls were made of some strange blue metal that seemed to glow with its own light. High above, a dome showed the stars outside, reminding everyone that they were floating. In space on a station far from any world, Jake walked to the center of the chamber where a small platform waited. Around him, the alien delegates sat in their special seats. Each species had their own section designed for their particular needs. The Zephyrians sat to his left. They looked like giant insects, with hard shells covering their bodies and multiple arms that moved constantly. Their leader, Clickstar, was bigger than the others. His black eyes stared at Jake, with what humans had learned was disgust. To the right sat the Vothari. They were made of living crystal, their bodies catching and reflecting light in beautiful patterns. When they spoke, their voices sounded like music. Their representative, shard singer Velthara, hummed softly, the sound echoing through the chamber. Behind Jake sat the Kethany. They looked like giant slugs, their slimy bodies leaving wet trails wherever they moved. Their leader, Morgoth, was easily the biggest creature in the room. His voice was wet and gurgling, like someone talking underwater. There were others too. The Aquari, who looked like walking fish and needed special tanks of water to survive. The Sylvani, who were like walking trees with branches for arms. Dozens of species, all united in one thing. They all thought humans were dangerous and needed to be controlled. Captain Lisa Hayes watched from the observation deck above. She commanded the Earth's voice, the human diplomatic ship that had brought Jake and his team to this meeting. Lisa had been a military officer before becoming a diplomat's escort. She understood better than most what was really happening here. The humans were being caged. Jake stepped up to the speaking platform. His voice carried clearly through the chamber's sound system. "Honored delegates," he began, "I come before you today to make one final request. Humanity asks for the right to expand beyond the Outer Rim territories." A sound like angry bees filled the chamber. The Zephyrians were upset. Clickstar stood up, his multiple arms waving. "Absolutely not," he buzzed. "Humans have already shown they cannot be trusted with freedom. Your species is too aggressive, too violent. You start wars wherever you go." Jake kept his voice calm. "We have been peaceful members of this council for 3 years. We have followed every rule, obeyed every restriction. We have not started a single conflict in that time. Because we have not let you," sang Velthara, her crystal body chiming like bells. "The moment we allow you to expand, you will begin your wars again. It is your nature, our nature." Jake's voice got a little harder. "What do you know about our nature? You have kept us locked in a small corner of space, treated us like children who cannot be trusted with dangerous toys. You have never given you as a chance to prove ourselves." Morgoth's wet voice gurgled through the chamber. "We have seen what your species does, human. Your own history is filled with war and destruction. You killed millions of your own kind before you ever left your planet. Why should we trust you with the galaxy?" Jake felt his anger rising but kept it under control. This was humanity's last chance to do things the diplomatic way. Yes, we had wars, but we also had peace. We had art, music, science, exploration. We overcame our violent past and reached for the stars. Isn't that what civilization is supposed to be about? Growing beyond what you were? The chamber filled with the sounds of alien discussion. Different species made different noises when they talked among themselves. The Zephyrians buzzed, the Vothari chimed, the Kethany gurgled. None of it sounded friendly. Lisa Hayes watched from above, her hands gripping the rail. She had seen this before. The aliens had already made up their minds. This whole meeting was just for show. The vote was called. One by one, each species gave their answer. The Zephyrians, no. The Vothari, no. The Kethany, no. The Aquari, no. The Sylvani, no. Every single species voted against human expansion. Not one alien voice spoke in favor of giving humans. More freedom got Jake, stood quietly as the final vote was counted. 37 species had voted. 37 had said no. 0 had said yes. The chamber fell silent. Everyone waited to see what the human would do. In the history of the Galactic Council, no species had ever been denied something by a complete unanimous vote. Usually, there was at least one ally, one friend who would speak up. Humans had none. Jake reached up and touched the small blue pin on his uniform. It was the symbol of Earth, a tiny representation of humanity's home world. All council members wore the symbol of their species when they spoke in the chamber. Slowly, Jake unpinned the Earth symbol from his uniform. He held it up so everyone could see it, then placed it gently on the speaking platform. Humanity formally withdraws from the Galactic Council, he said clearly. We will no longer follow your restrictions. We will no longer ask for your permission. We will no longer accept your protection. The chamber exploded in noise. Aliens jumped to their feet, their voices rising in panic and anger. Never in the 10,000-year history of the Council had a species simply walked away. Click stars. Buzzing voice cut through the chaos. You cannot do this. No species has ever left the Council. Because no species has ever needed to, Jake replied. You have made it clear that humanity will never be accepted as an equal here. We will not remain as your prisoners. Morgoth oozed forward, his wet voice urgent. You will not survive without us. The Void Pirates will destroy your ships. Stellar storms will scatter your fleets. The resource wars will consume your colonies. You need our guidance, our protection. Jake looked around the chamber at all the alien faces staring at him. Some looked angry, some looked scared, some looked confused. None looked friendly. We will manage, he said simply. With that, Jake Morrison turned and walked toward the exit. The other human delegates followed him. Their footsteps echoed in the suddenly quiet chamber. As they reached the doors, Jake turned back one more time. You spent 3 years telling us we were too dangerous to be given freedom. You may be right, but you should have asked yourselves one question. If humans are really as dangerous as you think, what happens when you make us your enemies? The doors closed behind them with a soft hiss. Jake and his team walked quickly through the stations. Corridors toward the docking bay where the Earth's voice waited. Behind them, the Galactic Council chamber remained silent. The alien delegates sat in their seats, staring at the small blue pin that still lay on the speaking platform. For the first time in 10,000 years, they had no idea what to do next. Captain Lisa Hayes met them at the airlock. How did it go? She asked, though she already knew the answer from Jake's expression. We're going home, Jake said, and we're never coming back. Within an hour, the Earth's voice had departed from Nexus Prime, carrying humanity's diplomatic mission back to Earth. The humans were gone, leaving behind only questions and fears. In the council chamber, the alien delegates still sat in stunned silence. They had been so sure that humans needed them, that no species could survive in the galaxy without the Council's protection and guidance. None of them realized that they had just made the biggest mistake in galactic history. They had pushed humanity too far, and now they would learn what humans were really capable of when they stopped asking for permission. The council members stared at the empty, speaking platform and wondered what would happen next. They would not have to wait long to find out. 6 months had passed since the humans walked out of the Galactic Council. 6 months of complete silence from human space. The alien delegates had expected angry messages, demands for trade, or pleas to return. Instead, they got nothing. Commander. Rex Tyler stood on the observation deck of New Denver Colony, watching the last transport ship disappear into the darkness of space. The colony had been humanity's pride, a thriving world on the edge of council space with over 2 million people. Now it was empty. Rex had been born on New Denver. His parents had been among the first settlers 20 years ago. This world was his home, but orders were orders. The message from Earth Command had been clear. Operation Exodus begins now. All outer colonies must be evacuated within 60 days. The evacuation had been smooth and quiet. No panic, no complaints. Every human understood what was happening. They were pulling back, gathering their strength, preparing for something the aliens could not imagine. On Nexus Prime, the Council's monitoring stations worked around the clock. The Zephyrian technicians buzzed with worry as they stared at their screens. The space that had once been filled with human radio chatter, ship signals, and colony communications was now eerily quiet. Still nothing, reported Technician Brickstull to his supervisor. No distress signals, no trade requests, no communications of any kind from human space. Clickstar stood behind the monitoring station, his multiple arms moving nervously. They must be in trouble. No species can survive without council support. They should be begging for help by now. But the screens remained silent. Dr. Ben Carter worked alone in his laboratory, deep beneath the ice of Titan, one of Saturn's moons. The facility had been built in secret 5 years ago, hidden from alien sensors by the moon's thick atmosphere and electromagnetic storms. The Council had no idea it existed. Ben was putting the final touches on humanity's greatest secret. 3 years, while the aliens had argued about human expansion rights, Earth's best scientists had been working on a project that would change everything. They called it quantum fold technology. The aliens used junk drives that required massive amounts of energy and left clear signatures that could be tracked across space. Human ships would soon be able to slip through folded space like ghosts, appearing and disappearing without a trace. Phase 3 testing complete, Ben reported to his hidden camera. His words would be sent through secret channels to Earth Command. The drive is ready for full production. On the frontier world of Haven's Rest, Colonel Amy Brooks watched the final evacuation transport lift off into the night sky. The colony had been built to mine rare metals from the planet's core, but that had just been a cover story. The real purpose of Haven's Rest was something the Council would never have approved. Deep underground, massive factories had been working for years. While the aliens thought humans were building farming equipment and mining tools, they were actually building weapons. Weapons designed with technology that was decades ahead of anything the Council possessed. Amy sealed the entrance to the underground facility and activated the camouflage systems. From space, Haven's Rest would look like any other abandoned world. The Council would never know what lay hidden beneath its surface. The first sign that something was wrong came when the trade routes began to shift. Independent merchants who had made their living carrying cargo between human and alien worlds found their contracts canceled. The shipping companies that had relied on human-made goods suddenly had nothing to transport. Captain Joe Way of the Independent Freighter Lucky Star had been hauling grain from human agricultural worlds to Zephyrian colonies for 8 years. The trade had been profitable for both species. Now, when he arrived at the usual pickup points, he found empty space. Where did they go? Joe asked his alien contact, a Zephyrian trader named Crixinal. We do not know. Crixinal buzzed unhappily. They simply vanished. All human cargo contracts have been terminated. We have no grain, no manufactured goods, nothing. Joe checked his star charts. The human colonies were still there, but they were not responding to any communication attempts. It was as if an entire section of the galaxy had gone dark back on Nexus Prime. The Council's economic experts were beginning to panic. The Aquarii economist Blubbeth had been studying trade patterns for 40 years. He had never seen anything like this. The numbers do not make sense, he gurgled to his assistants. Human trade represented 30% of all galactic commerce. You cannot simply remove 30% of the economy without massive disruption. The disruption was already beginning. The Kethany military had relied on human-made targeting systems for their patrol ships. When these systems began failing, Morgoth's forces found themselves unable to track the very pirates they were supposed to be hunting. "Our ships are useless," reported Admiral Gulmuth to his leader. "The targeting computers are failing one by one. We cannot hit anything beyond close range." "Contact the human manufacturers," Morgoth ordered. "Offer them whatever they want for replacement parts." "We have tried," Gulmuth replied. "There is no response. It is as if the humans have simply disappeared." The Vothari were having similar problems. Their crystal ships used human-made navigation systems to plot courses through hyperspace. Without these systems, their ships were getting lost, sometimes emerging from hyperspace light years away from their intended destinations. Shardsinger, Velthara called an emergency meeting of the Vothari High Council. "We must find the humans," she sang urgently. "Our entire fleet is dependent on their technology." "Perhaps we should send a diplomatic mission," suggested another Vothari. "We could offer to negotiate." "With what authority?" Velthara replied. "They are no longer council members. We have no legal right to contact them." The truth was becoming clear to the alien species, though none wanted to admit it. For 3 years, they had grown dependent on human technology, human goods, and human expertise. They had told themselves that humans needed the Council's protection, but the reality was exactly the opposite. On Earth, President Angela Torres sat in her office reading the daily reports from around the galaxy. The aliens were beginning to understand their situation, but they still had no idea how bad things were about to get. "The Zephyrians have lost 60% of their patrol fleet to navigation failures," reported General Marcus Stone. "The Vothari trade network is collapsing. The Kethany cannot protect their own borders." Angela nodded. "And our preparations?" "Ahead of schedule," Marcus replied. "The new shipyards are operational. The quantum fold drives are being installed on all military vessels. The buffer zone colonies are ready for Phase 2. "Good," Angela said. "Let them struggle for a while longer. They need to understand exactly how much they depended on us before we show them what we can do without them." The Council's xenobiologists made the most disturbing discovery of all. Dr. Tholwyn, a Sylvani researcher, had been studying the technology failures that were spreading across alien space. What he found made his leaves tremble with fear. "The humans did not just trade with us," he reported to the Council. "They maintained our technology. For years, human engineers have been quietly upgrading our systems, fixing our problems, keeping our infrastructure running. We never realized how much we needed them." The quantum communication network that connected all Council worlds was beginning to fail. The atmospheric processors that kept artificial worlds livable were showing signs of breakdown. Even Nexus Prime itself was experiencing mysterious technical problems that the alien engineers could not solve. "How long do we have?" asked Clickstar during an emergency council session. "Without human maintenance, our critical systems will fail." "Within 2 years," Tholwyn replied. "Maybe less." The chamber fell silent. For the first time in 10,000 years, The Galactic Council faced a crisis they could not solve. Senator Paul Rodriguez sat in the back of the chamber, officially no longer a council member, but still allowed to attend as a private citizen. He was one of the few humans who had remained on Nexus Prime after the withdrawal. The aliens thought he was just a businessman who had chosen to stay. They had no idea he was actually a spy. Paul listened to the alien panic with hidden satisfaction. Everything was going according to plan. The aliens were learning that they had never been the superior species they thought they were. They had been living off human ingenuity for years without realizing it. Soon, they would learn what humans were really capable of. In the darkness of space, human ships moved silently through the void. The new quantum fold drives left no signature, no trace of their passage. To alien sensors, space appeared empty. But humanity was there, watching, waiting, preparing. The aliens had wanted to keep humans caged. Now they would learn what happened when the cage was opened, and the humans were free to show their true nature. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. That age was ending, and a new one was about to begin. The first colony to disappear was Kepler 442b, a small Zephyrian mining world on the edge of known space. One day it was there, sending regular status reports and shipping ore to the homeworld. The next day, nothing. Admiral Krickstow received the report from his communications officer. "Sir, we have lost contact with Mining Station 7. Their last transmission was 12 hours ago." "Send a scout ship," Krickstow ordered. "Probably just equipment failure." But when the scout ship arrived at Kepler 442b, they found something. Impossible. The colony was completely empty. Not destroyed, not damaged, just empty. The mining equipment was still running. The lights were still on, but every single Zephyrian was gone. "There are no bodies, no signs of struggle," reported the scout ship captain. "It looks like everyone just packed up and left in the middle of the night." Similar reports began coming in from across the galaxy. A Valkyrie research station went silent. An Aquari trading post stopped responding. A Kethany military outpost sent one final message, and then nothing. The pattern was always the same. The colonies were found empty but undamaged, as if their inhabitants had simply vanished into thin air. On Earth, General Marcus Stone stood in the war room deep beneath the Pentagon, watching the star map on the massive display screen. Red dots marked the locations where alien colonies had been evacuated. Each red dot represented another step in humanity's master plan. "Status report," Marcus said to his aide, Colonel Danny Foster. "Phase 1 is complete, sir," Danny replied. "The buffer zone has been established. All alien settlements within 50 light years of our new territories have been relocated. Casualties? None, sir. The aliens left peacefully when our ships arrived. Most seemed relieved to be evacuated." Marcus nodded with satisfaction. The aliens had expected humans to attack, with violence and destruction. Instead, humanity had done something far more terrifying. They had simply arrived and politely asked the aliens to leave. And the aliens had gone without a fight. The secret was humanity's new technology. While the Council had been debating human expansion rights, Earth scientists had been working on projects that would have seemed like magic to the aliens that Dr. Katie Price floated in zero gravity inside the construction bay of Forge World, humanity's first mobile shipyard. The massive facility was larger than most space stations, but it could move between star systems using the new quantum fold drives. "Construction of the 7th habitat ring is complete," she reported to her team. "We can begin colonist loading next week." Forge World was building artificial planets faster than the aliens could build cities. Each new world was designed from the ground up with technology that surpassed anything the Council had ever imagined. They were not just colonies, but fortresses, factories, and research centers all combined into one. Meanwhile, the Council's own worlds were falling apart. The quantum communication network that connected their civilizations was failing system by system. Without human maintenance, the complex technology that held their society together was breaking down. Clickstar stood in the council chamber, his multiple arms shaking with rage and fear. "We must take action," he buzzed to the other delegates. "The humans are expanding into our space. They are taking our colonies." "How?" asked Valthara, her crystal body dim with worry. "Our scouts report no human ships, no human fleets. Our colonies are simply found empty." "They have new technology," admitted Morgoth, his wet voice filled with reluctance. "Technology we do not understand." The truth was worse than they imagined. Captain Gary Miller piloted his stealth fighter Phoenix through the Zephyrian home system, invisible to their sensors. His ship used quantum phase technology that allowed it to exist slightly outside normal space. To alien detection systems, he simply was not there. "Target acquired," Gary reported to his squadron. "Zephyrian patrol fleet, 12 ships, standard formation." "Understood, Phoenix," came the reply from his wing commander. "Disable their engines, but do not destroy them. We want them to carry the message home." The attack lasted less than 5 minutes. The Zephyrian ships found their engines suddenly failing, their weapons systems shutting down, their life support flickering. They never saw what hit them. When the rescue ships arrived, they found the patrol fleet drifting helplessly in space. The crews were alive but terrified, babbling about weapons that came from nowhere and ships that could not be seen. "They are like ghosts," reported the patrol leader to his superiors. "Our sensors showed nothing, but our ships were disabled by invisible attackers." Similar attacks were happening throughout the galaxy. Council fleets would venture into space and find themselves helpless, their ships disabled by enemies they could not see or fight. The aliens finally understood what they were facing. Humanity had not just left the Council and gone into hiding. They had spent their time in isolation, developing weapons and technology that made the Council's military forces obsolete. Commander Helen Price patrolled the new border in her stealth cruiser Phantom, monitoring alien communications. The Council species were starting to panic. Their infrastructure was failing, their military was helpless, and their colonies were disappearing one by one. "Intercepted transmission from the Vathari High Command," she reported to Earth. "They are requesting emergency aid from the other Council species. All species are refusing. They have their own problems." On Nexus Prime, the Council held emergency sessions every day. The alien delegates argued and blamed each other, but they had no solutions. Their technology was failing, their military was useless, and their economy was collapsing. "We must contact the humans," suggested one brave Aquari delegate. "We must negotiate." "With what?" Clickstar replied bitterly. "They are not Council members. We have no authority over them. We have nothing to offer them." "We could offer them membership again," suggested another delegate. The chamber fell silent. The idea was unthinkable. The Council had never invited a species to rejoin after they had left. It would be admitting that they had been wrong, that they needed the humans more than the humans needed them. Senator Paul Rodriguez watched the debate from his observer's seat, still pretending to be just a businessman. He sent regular reports to Earth about the aliens' growing desperation. The Council was exactly where humanity wanted them. Dr. Ben Carter emerged from his laboratory on Titan, his work finally complete. The quantum fold technology was now installed. On every human ship, Earth's fleets could move through space without being detected, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. "The technology is ready," he reported to Earth Command. "We can begin Phase 2 whenever you give the order." President Angela Torres read the reports from around the galaxy. The aliens were learning that they had never been the superior civilization. They thought they were. For years, they had been living off human technology and expertise without realizing it. The Council species have 6 months of remaining power in their critical systems, General Stone reported. After that, their life support will begin failing on artificial worlds. Their communication networks will collapse completely. And our expansion? Angela asked. Ahead of schedule, Stone replied. We have established colonies in over 200 systems. The buffer zone is complete. Our new territories are larger than the entire Council space. Angela smiled. Then it is time for Phase 2. The order went out through secret channels to human fleets across the galaxy. Phase 2 would show the aliens what humanity was really capable of when they stopped asking for permission out in the depths of space. Human ships received their orders and began to move. The stealth technology made them invisible to alien sensors, but soon they would reveal themselves. The aliens would finally see what they had created when they pushed humanity too far. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years by keeping other species weak and dependent. Now they would learn what happened when one of those species refused to stay weak. Humanity was done hiding. They were done being patient. They were done asking for permission. The aliens had wanted to see what humans were capable of when they felt threatened. They were about to find out. On distant worlds, human colonies were thriving with technology that seemed like magic. In hidden shipyards, weapons were being built that could destroy entire fleets. In secret laboratories, scientists were developing technologies that would reshape the galaxy. The Council had feared giving humans too much freedom. Now they would learn what humans could accomplish when they had complete freedom. The age of alien dominance was ending. The age of humanity was about to begin. And the aliens who had once looked down on humans as primitive and violent would soon be begging for human mercy. The message arrived at Nexus Prime on a Tuesday morning, transmitted on frequencies the Council had not used in centuries. It was simple, direct, and terrifying in its politeness. To the Galactic Council, the message began in perfect translation to every alien language. Humanity hereby claims all star systems within the former neutral zone as sovereign human territory. Any alien vessels found in these systems after 30 days will be escorted to the nearest Council world. This is not a threat. This is a notification. The message was signed simply, Admiral Joe Anderson, Human Commonwealth Fleet. Clickstar stared at the communication screen, his compound eyes trying to process what he was reading. They cannot do this, he buzzed frantically. The neutral zone contains over 3,000 star systems. Some of our most important colonies are there. Apparently they can, replied Vilthara, her crystal body flickering with nervous energy. The question is what we do about it. The neutral zone had been created 500 years ago as a buffer between Council space and the unknown regions beyond. It contained rich worlds, valuable resources, and several alien colonies that had existed for centuries. Now humanity was claiming all of it. Commander Rex Tyler stood on the bridge of the human battleship Defiant, watching the massive fleet assembly through the view screen. Ships of designs the aliens had never seen stretched out in perfect formation as far as the eye could see. Each vessel was equipped with technology that made Council ships look like ancient relics. Fleet status report, Admiral Anderson requested. From his command chair, all ships ready, sir, Rex replied. 240 vessels in the main battle group. Another 800 ships spread across the zone in patrol formations. Good, Anderson said. Begin Phase 2. Across the neutral zone, human ships began appearing at strategic locations. They did not attack, did not threaten. They simply arrived and started building. Within days, space stations were under construction at key jump points. Defense platforms appeared around valuable worlds. Human colonies began establishing themselves on planets that had been empty for millennia. The speed of the expansion was impossible by Council standards. It should have taken years to build even a single space station. Humanity was constructing entire bases in a matter of days. Dr. Katie Price watched from the observation deck of Forge World as another manufacturing platform rolled off the production line. The mobile shipyard had grown to the size of a small moon, its construction bays working around the clock to build the infrastructure of humanity's new empire. Platform 7 is complete, she reported to the construction chief. Ready for deployment. To the Kepler system. Excellent, came the reply. We are ahead of schedule. At this rate, we will have the entire zone secured within 60 days. The alien colonies in the neutral zone received visits from human ships. The encounters were always the same. A human vessel would appear in orbit, completely invisible to sensors until it chose to reveal itself. A polite message would be transmitted to the surface. This system is now under human protection, the message would say. You have 48 hours to evacuate. Transport ships will be provided if needed. Your safety is guaranteed. Most aliens chose to leave immediately. Those who tried to resist found their weapon systems mysteriously failing, their ships unable to start, their communications cut off. No one was harmed, but the message was clear. Resistance was futile. Captain Gary Miller piloted his fighter Phoenix through the ruins of what had once been a Kethany military base. The aliens had abandoned it so quickly that they left behind millions of dollars worth of equipment. Base 7 is secured, he reported to Fleet Command. No resistance encountered. The Kethany garrison evacuated 12 hours ago. Similar reports came in from across the zone. The aliens were not fighting. They were running. On Nexus Prime, the Council met in emergency session for the 15th day in a row. The alien delegates were no longer angry. They were terrified. We must respond, insisted Morgoth, his wet voice desperate. If we do nothing, the humans will think they can take whatever they want. Respond with what? Clickstar asked bitterly. Our fleets cannot find their ships. Our weapons cannot hurt them when we do find them. Our colonies are defenseless against enemies we cannot see. The truth was devastating. The Council's military forces were completely outmatched. Human technology had advanced so far beyond anything the aliens possessed that fighting them would be like trying to stop a starship with stone spears. Senator Paul Rodriguez sat in his usual seat, still maintaining his cover as a neutral observer. He sent daily reports to Earth about the Council's growing desperation. The aliens were exactly where humanity wanted them, helpless, afraid, and completely dependent on human mercy. The economic collapse was accelerating. With their colonies in the neutral zone lost and their infrastructure failing, the Council species could no longer maintain their standard of living. Trade routes were disrupted, supply chains were broken, and essential resources were becoming scarce. Food shortages are reported on 12 Zephyrian worlds, announced their economic minister. Without the agricultural colonies in the neutral zone, we cannot feed our population. The Vothari crystal farms are failing, added Velthara. Our technology requires specific minerals that were mined in the zone. Without them, our ships will lose power within months. Commander Helen Price intercepted desperate communications between Council worlds. The aliens were begging each other for help, but none had any help to give. Each species was facing its own crisis as human expansion cut off their access to vital resources. Message from the Aquari homeworld, she reported to Earth Command. They are requesting emergency food supplies from the Kethany. The Kethany have refused. They have their own shortages. The Council was falling apart. The alliance that had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years was crumbling under the pressure of humanity's expansion. Dr. Ben Carter received new orders from Earth Command. Begin Phase 3, the message read. Deploy the suppression fields. Ben activated systems that had been built into human ships from the beginning. Invisible energy fields spread out from human vessels, disrupting alien technology within their range. Council ships that ventured too close to human territory found their engines failing, their weapons shutting down, their life support systems flickering. Unknown energy interference detected, reported a Zephyrian patrol captain to his base. All systems are malfunctioning, requesting immediate evacuation. But when the rescue ships arrived, they found only empty space. The patrol ship had simply vanished, its crew rescued by human vessels and deposited safely on the nearest council world with a simple message: stay out of human space. The psychological warfare was devastating. Council military forces were afraid to leave their home systems. Their ships were disappearing without a trace. Their crews returned safely, but with tales of impossible human technology. Admiral Anderson stood on the command deck of his flagship, reviewing the daily reports. The expansion was proceeding faster than even the most optimistic projections. Human territory now covered 5,000 star systems, with new colonies being established every day. Resistance levels? He asked his intelligence officer. Minimal. Sir, came the reply. Most alien forces are withdrawing to their core systems. They are not attempting to challenge our expansion. Good, Anderson said. Signal Earth Command. Tell them the zone is secure. We are ready for the final phase. The final phase would be the most shocking of all. Humanity would reveal the true extent of their technological advancement, and the aliens would finally understand just how far they had fallen behind. President Angela Torres received the message in her office on Earth. The time had come to show the galaxy what humanity was really capable of. The aliens had spent 3 years trying to keep humans weak and contained. Now they would see what humans could accomplish when they stopped holding back. Send the signal to all fleet commanders, she ordered. Begin Phase 4. It is time to end this. Across human space, ships began moving toward their final positions. A demonstration that would break the Council's will to resist was about to begin. The aliens had wanted to see what happened when they made humans their enemies. They were about to get their answer. In the depths of space, human vessels prepared for the final act of humanity's return to galactic prominence. The age of alien dominance was over. The age of humanity was beginning, and the aliens who had once looked down on humans as primitive and dangerous would soon be begging for human protection from the very chaos they had created. The Council's final mistake came when desperation drove them to madness. After months of watching human expansion and their own civilization crumble, the alien leaders decided they had no choice left but war. Clickstar stood before the assembled delegates, his multiple arms waving frantically. We cannot let this continue, he buzzed. The humans are destroying everything we have built. We must fight back before we lose everything. With what? Asked Velthara, her crystal body dim with despair. Our fleets are useless against their technology. Then we combine all our fleets, Morgoth gurgled from his wet platform. Every ship from every world. The humans may be advanced, but they cannot fight the entire galaxy. It was a desperate plan born of fear and pride. The 5 major council species agreed to combine their military forces into one massive armada. Every available warship would be gathered for a single decisive battle at Sol, humanity's home system. The message was sent to Earth on all frequencies, broadcast so the entire galaxy could hear it. Humanity will submit to Council authority or face complete destruction, Clickstar announced. You have 7 days to surrender unconditionally. President Angela Torres read the ultimatum in her office, then handed it to General Marcus Stone. What do you think? She asked. Marcus smiled grimly. I think they have just given us the perfect opportunity to end this once and for all. The Council fleet was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Over 2,000 ships from 5 different species, each equipped with the most powerful weapons their civilizations could build. The Zephyrian heavy cruisers, with their thick armor and massive guns. The Vothery crystal ships that could absorb and redirect energy attacks. The Kethany battle platforms with their swarm missile systems. The Aquari deep strike vessels with their stealth capabilities. The Sylvani bioships that could repair themselves in combat. Dot was an armada that could have conquered entire star systems. The aliens were certain that no force in the galaxy could stand against such overwhelming firepower. Admiral Joe Anderson stood on the bridge of his flagship Defiant, watching the alien fleet approach the Sol system through long range sensors. The enemy formation stretched across space like a metal storm cloud, their ships moving in perfect coordination toward Earth. Enemy fleet size confirmed, reported his tactical officer. 2,037 vessels. All major council species represented. Our response fleet? Anderson asked. 50 ships, sir. All primary battle units. The odds were 40-1 against humanity. By any measure of traditional warfare, the humans should have been completely outmatched. But this would not be a traditional. Battle. Captain Gary Miller sat in the cockpit of his fighter Phoenix, waiting in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon. Around him, 49 other human warships hung silently in space, their quantum phase technology making them invisible to alien sensors. All units, this is Admiral Anderson, came the voice over the comm system. The aliens want to see what we are really capable of. Let us show them. The battle began when the Council fleet reached the orbit of Mars. The aliens expected to find Earth's defenses waiting for them. Massive space stations in fortified positions protecting humanity's homeworld. Instead, they found empty space. Where are they? Demanded Admiral Krickstall from his command ship. Long-range sensors show no human vessels in the system. Maybe they fled, suggested his tactical officer. Maybe they knew they could not win. But the Zephyrian admiral's mandibles clicked nervously. Something felt wrong. The humans had shown no fear before. Why would they abandon their homeworld without a fight? The answer came when the Council fleet reached Earth's orbit. Suddenly, 50 human ships materialized out of nowhere, appearing around the alien formation like ghosts becoming solid. Contact, announced every alien sensor operator at once. Human ships appearing on all sides. Admiral Anderson's voice broadcast on all frequencies, calm and professional. Council fleet, you are trespassing in sovereign human space. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawal or face the consequences. Krickstall snarled with rage. 50 ships against 2,000? You humans are either very brave or very stupid. Neither, Henderson replied. We are simply very prepared. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. It was not a fight so much as a demonstration of how far human technology had advanced beyond anything the Council possessed. The human ships moved through space like living things, dodging alien weapons fire that seemed to pass right through them. The Council's most powerful energy beams struck human shields and simply disappeared. Absorbed by technology the aliens could not understand, Captain Danny Foster watched from his destroyer as a Zephyrian heavy cruiser fired its main guns at a human battleship. The massive energy beams that should have vaporized any normal vessel simply vanished when they hit the human ship's shields. Quantum absorption fields are working perfectly, he reported to his gunner. Return fire. Disable their engines but do not destroy them. The human weapons were like nothing the aliens had ever seen. Projectiles that phased through armor before exploding inside enemy ships. Energy beams that somehow found their way around. Shields to strike critical systems directly. Missiles that appeared inside alien vessels without any visible means of entry. The Vothery crystal ships, famous for their ability to absorb energy attacks, shattered under weapons that attacked there. molecular structure directly. The Kephani battle platforms found their missile systems shutting down as human cyber warfare programs infected their computers instantly. The Aquari stealth ships discovered that human sensors could see them perfectly, no matter how advanced. Their cloaking technology got within 10 minutes. Half the Council fleet was disabled. Within 15 minutes, 3/4 of their ships were drifting helplessly in space. The few vessels that tried to retreat found their engines failing as human. Suppression fields overwhelmed their power systems. Gary Miller led his fighter squadron through the wreckage of what had once been the galaxy's most powerful fleet. Alien ships floated dead in space, their crews alive, but their vessels completely helpless. Phoenix Squadron to Admiral Anderson, he reported. All enemy vessels are disabled. No alien casualties reported. Understood, Phoenix, Anderson replied. Begin rescue operations. We want every alien crew member safely evacuated. The aliens, who had come to destroy humanity, found themselves being rescued by human ships. Their weapons had been useless, their numbers meaningless, their technology obsolete. In 17 minutes, the combined might of 5 galactic civilizations had been completely defeated by 50 human vessels. Admiral Krickstahl sat in his darkened command center, staring at the screens that showed his mighty fleet reduced to floating. Scrap, a human voice came over his communication system, polite and professional. Admiral Krickstahl, this is Admiral Anderson. Your crew will be transferred to one of our medical ships and return safely to Council space. Please prepare for evacuation. How? Krickstahl whispered. How is this possible? You spent 3 years telling us we were too dangerous to be given freedom, Anderson replied. You were right. But you made one critical error. You assumed that keeping us in a cage would make us weaker. Instead, it gave us time to become something you could never imagine. The evacuation of the Council fleet took 6 hours. Human ships moved efficiently through the debris field, rescuing alien crews and providing medical care to the wounded. Not a single alien life was lost. Despite the complete destruction of their military power, President Angela Torres appeared on screens throughout the galaxy, addressing not just the Council, but every species that could receive the transmission. Her message was broadcast in hundreds of languages, reaching every inhabited world in known space. People of the galaxy, she began, her voice calm but firm. Today, the Council sent their entire military force to destroy humanity because we refused to remain in the cage they built for us. Their fleet has been defeated, but their crews have been returned safely. This was not an act of war. This was a demonstration. Torres paused, letting her words sink in across the galaxy. For 3 years, you told us we were too dangerous to be trusted with freedom. You were right about our potential, but wrong about our nature. We are not conquerors. We are builders. We are explorers. We are protectors. The President's expression grew more serious. The Council has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years through fear and division. They kept species weak and dependent, claiming it was for everyone's protection. But protection from what? From growth? From progress? From the possibility that someone might build something better? The age of the Council is over, Torres continued. Humanity offers a different path. Join the human commonwealth as equals, and together we will explore the unknown regions beyond our galaxy. Help us build new worlds, develop new technologies, discover new forms of life, or remain in your current territories under your current governments. The choice is yours. The transmission ended with a simple statement that would be remembered. Throughout galactic history, humanity does not seek to rule you, but we will no longer allow you to rule us. In the days that followed, the galaxy watched in amazement as human ships appeared at the borders of every major civilization, not as invaders, but as protectors. The pirates that had plagued trade routes for centuries found themselves